goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Good morning, Chelsea fans. Good morning, football fans, and to Liverpool fans, buenos dias. Uh, so I guess that's where we start off. So Real Madrid has unveiled Trent Alexander-Arnold as its new player. Now, he spoke during the presentation in fluent Spanish, so that has got people talking. Got Liverpool fans a bit irate. Some people, of the mind that, what has it? So that means he's been learning Spanish for at least 12 months now, trying to doubt his commitment to Liverpool and all that. And I think that's one more thing for Liverpool fans to get irate about, to complain about. But I would like to commend Trent Alexander-Arnold for, embracing the culture, embracing the language, because sometimes you see players that travel to other countries to play in those countries and don't even care about speaking the language. Sometimes you have some English players who are arrogant, some British players that good, like you've had Gareth Bale. He went to Real Madrid and refused, to speak the language. So I think that's a check mark for Trent Alexander-Arnold as a Real Madrid player. But one more thing I would like Alexander-Arnold to do. Definitely, Rhys James is a way better 1v1 fullback than he is. I think than he will ever be. But can you just go there and just be slightly better than you at Liverpool, so that we gives us more things to talk about, and that would really send Liverpool fans over the edge. So, what do you think about Alexander-Arnold going to Real Madrid? Do you think he's going to shine there? Do you think he's going to play well there? Now, for me, one question mark I have is his 1v1 abilities. So I think in Xabi Alonso's system, if he goes with three at the back, maybe he plays as a right-sided centre back, or he plays like somehow in midfield. But I trust Xabi Alonso would find a way to sort of compensate for his defensive frailties, because he's brilliant on the ball, brilliant in with respect to his defense splitting passes, but 1v1 not that great. But happy days for Trent and his family, I guess, at Real Madrid. And then also there's this thing about fans getting crazy about what's his name now? There's an Arnold going to Real Madrid, leaving the club. I don't know why Liverpool fans are so crazy about it. For one, he didn't go to Everton. Secondly, he didn't go to Manchester United. So I don't get why you get so upset. So are you saying a player should never, ever leave Liverpool? So Liverpool fans, if you're on here, let me know what you think. Chelsea fans as well. What do you think if a player leaves your club? Is that bad? Is that something you want to criticize the player for? As long as for me as a Chelsea fan, as long as the player doesn't go to the Spurs, that's fine with me. So I don't quite get why fans are so crazily irate about it. But fair play to him. Hope he has a successful career at Real Madrid. Let's go into other topics now. Chelsea have been linked to a German striker, played for Stuttgart, giant of a striker. I would add 5'9", 6'6" inches tall striker, Nick Woltemade. Now he's got decent stats, but for me, this is another kind of player that I don't think is what Chelsea needs right now. He is still 23. I think he falls into, he's 23 years old, and then he's kind of like a lesser talented Gyokeres. So I'll just bring up his stats for the season he's had with Stuttgart. But for me, this is not the player I think Chelsea should be going for in this window. So we've had thoughts of Victor Osimhen. You didn't go for Victor Osimhen. We've had thoughts of Viktor Gyokeres that I'll go back and talk about in a minute. You didn't go for him. And then there was the Gyokeres with a high ceiling, and huge potential. And then for some reason, maybe that's not working out as well. And then now you're going to a lesser talented sort of version of Gyokeres. For me, that just doesn't sit right with me. That just doesn't tell me that the club is ready to really compete at the top. And I'll say this: if you're Chelsea, a Manchester United, a Liverpool, an Arsenal, a Real Madrid, a Bayern, you don't go to sign players looking at resale value. You go to sign players looking at what value can these players add to your team. How can they help the team right now win? Of course, you can sign your young players, but get in the building those players that are ready to come in day one and help you to contribute, plug the gaps you have in the team, and then you can then sign your young players for the future. So you can have best of both worlds. But what we're saying is they're just going crazy about it. So enough of me talking, I'll just share his stats and then I'd like to know what you think in the chat. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the player. To be fair, his stats are fairly decent, I'd say. They're not overly bad, fairly decent. So you can see his stats aren't that bad. So he scored in the Bundesliga in 5 matches. He scored 5 in the DFB Pokal. That's like the FA Cup, the cup. He scored 5 goals in 5 matches, 1 assist. And in 28 games, I think he scored 12 goals, for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, and then he has 2 assists as well. So not bad overall. It's fairly decent, I would say, in my opinion. But is that what Chelsea really needs at this time? And when you even look at the report, it doesn't even really say, that it doesn't even really say that Chelsea are. It doesn't even really say that Chelsea are all in on him and have made a bid to sign the player. Antonio Iwuchukwu says Nick looks good. Directors are always looking for players they can sell later. That's all Chelsea are now, a selling club with no ambition. Now, Nick, Anthony, I agree with you 100% because right now, the way it feels like the directors of Chelsea right now, they're not looking at players that can come in immediately, help you win, help boost the brand of Chelsea by winning on the pitch. They're looking for deals where you can get the player in and then sell the player off. Because with the Mike Mignon deal, for instance, the board, the ownership, the directors, they've got Chelsea fans thinking that 29 years is old for a goalkeeper. When we all know that goalkeepers sometimes get into their prime when they're in the 29, 30, 32. And now goalkeepers can play till they're 35, 36, sometimes 38, some even 40. Gigi Buffon was active till 40. And if you want to say, okay, that's an extraordinary case, we see goalkeepers getting to 35, 36. So that means Chelsea could have been able to have Mike Mignon for, say, 6, 7 years. But somehow they've made Chelsea fans feel like, wow, 29 years old is so old. Now, Nick looks decent, but does he look like someone that comes in and helps you win right now? No, he doesn't. He has some nice qualities. Now, I'm not going to come here and say Nick Woltemade is absolutely rubbish. He's no good. Throw him out the window. He should never be a footballer. No, he has some decent qualities. He kind of reminds me of a Peter Crouch in a way because for a very tall player, 6 foot 6 inches tall, he's very, very good on the ball. He has decent touch, decent control, on the ball. So that's good. That's brilliant. And like I will maintain the same energy I had for Hugo Ekitike and for Liam Delap. If you get me that striker that is ready to go now, i.e. Victor Osimhen, i.e. Viktor Gyokeres, for instance, that are ready to go now, give you 20 goals right now, and then you add and give you a Ekitike to it, and then you add, maybe in Nick Woltemade to it, and I say, okay, yeah, this is the main guy that's coming into the team right now and will help you win now. And then you have this guy that can come in and learn off him and gradually improve behind him, come and play 20 minutes here and there, start some Champions League games, start some FA Cup games and some League Cup games. Then I'll say, brilliant, that's good. But when you're going out to say, this is the guy you want to sign, this is the guy that wants to lead you, and then you have a Liam Delap, and then you want to sign a Nick Woltemade. Can you imagine a 22-year-old and 23-year-old who is leading who's going to learn from who? That's what something people don't get. And I'll say this: if this was the first transfer window under this clearly capital group, I would have appreciated it a little bit because I said, okay, this is the first window. The strategy is a 4-window strategy. You're getting these young players in, they grow together, get to a point, and then when you hit that fourth window, fifth window, you go on and you get your experienced players and start pushing. And then if Chelsea had not qualified for the Champions League, then I'll say, okay, Champions League is that thing because Champions League, opens up a lot of financial and revenue earning opportunities that allows you to be a bit more flexible in how you spend, a bit more ambitious in how you spend. But when you go on, and then if you're not in Champions League, I understand why you're not spending, but you qualify for the Champions League and you're refusing to get those top class players that are ready to come in now and help you perform and help you win things. Look at what Liverpool are doing. In life, like in football, like in life as well, you have to look at what your competition is doing. You have to look at what the other side is doing. The people you will be competing against, what are they doing? How are they setting up themselves? How are they improving themselves? Look at Liverpool. They've won the league title. They've won the Premier League title. They still have Mo Salah signed up. They still have Van Dijk. But they've gone again. They've got Frimpong in. They've got Gyokeres, should be soon confirmed very soon. They've gone and got Florian Wirtz, one of the best players from the German Bundesliga in, and one of the most creative players in Europe. They've got him in the building, in addition to Mo Salah, Luis Diaz. So they're going again. And now you've just managed to finish in Champions League spots, but you're not really doing anything to really push yourself in there, to really compete with the likes of Liverpool. Come on now. Those are the issues that I have with this whole board, these directors and all that. Look at the goalkeeping situation. We should have had Mike Mignon say, no, we're not going to go for Mike Mignon. It's too expensive. We don't want to play Club World Cup tax. Where did that even come from? The kind of weird reasons that this ownership group, that these sporting directors come up with is just absolutely crazy. I just don't quite understand how they come up with this. And you have fans that gobble this up. You have fans that enjoy this, that see this as being good, that worship everything they say, that take everything that comes out from the mouth of these directors, or at least the journalists that they brief, they take it as gospel, they take it as making sense when it doesn't make sense. Nick Woltemade, good player, decent player, can be very good in the end. I think he scored 3 goals in one game for for the under 21 for Germany. Good, shows potential. But he is not what Chelsea needs right now. He just isn't. We've moved from getting those top experienced players, Gyokeres or Siemens and the likes. We've moved from getting them, and then we've gone down to Ketike. Oh, we can't get that one. We've gone to a player who's even less of a talent than Ketike. For me, it doesn't make sense. They have a lot of Chelsea fans saying, bring. Oh, well, let's see how it develops, because even the news, I don't think it has been reported by Fabrizio Romano or David Ornstein, and I don't think there was even talk of a concrete offer. It was just Chelsea, exploring and inquiring on, the details of the player's deal and contract like that. There was no clear talk about making an offer or that Chelsea indeed wanted to make an offer. It's just exploratory interest. I think that's what I would call it. So, but for me, nah. You can miss me with that right now. If he comes in, like I'm doing with Liam Delap now, I'll support the player. Because for me, I'm not one of those people that if I don't rate a player coming to the club, then I want the player not to succeed if they come to the club. Because I know if a player comes to the club and he succeeds, then that means the club is succeeding. So if he comes in, we'll support him as usual. But if you ask me right now, if he is the sort of player that Chelsea needs at this minute to go to the next level, I don't think so at all. I don't think so. Now we'll go to one other player. He's been someone that I have wanted at Chelsea. He's been someone that lots of clubs have wanted, your Arsenal, your Manchester United, and he's fallen sort of out of love with Sporting Lisbon. At least that's what sort of the reports and different narratives around social media are trying to say, that he has fallen out of love with the club. First, I'll post up what he said has on his IG story, and then I'll go on to give other details and my own opinion about it. So I'll just share my screen in a minute. So this is what Viktor Gyokeres has on his IG story. There's a lot of talk at the moment. Most of it is false. I'll speak when the time is right. Yeah, that's nice. I'll speak again when the time is right. So essentially, what has happened is there was an agreement, or rather a gentleman's agreement with Sporting Lisbon, that is between Viktor Gyokeres and Sporting Lisbon. And the agreement essentially was, if an offer comes in and around 65, 60 million euros plus, with plus add-ons, then Sporting Lisbon would entertain the offer, i.e., and therefore rather let Viktor Gyokeres negotiate with his buying club and let him go. But now they've come in, but now offers are seemingly have come in and around seem to have come in and around that figure, and the club have refused it and are insisting on is it 100 million euros. Now, one thing I want to say, football players, if you're ever going to watch this, even if you're in your regular 9 to 5 job or whatever you do, there is nothing like a gentleman's agreement. There is nothing like that. If someone is serious about an agreement or serious about something when it comes to money or contract situations, that person should be comfortable enough to have that in writing, in contract, as part of a contract. If someone just tells you, don't worry, I'll give you £20,000, don't worry, that's fine. Don't bother yourself. I'm good for it, I'll give you £20,000, and it's not in writing, that person isn't really serious about giving you that money. Same thing here. The problem must have told him, don't worry, you've been a good player for us, you scored lots of goals for us, Viktor Gyokeres, so we respect you a lot. So if an offer comes in and around, 60 plus million euros in addition to with add-ons, then we'll let you go. No worries, that's fine, we'll let you go. That is silly. 2025 as a player, to believe that, you're silly. If there's any contract comes, if there's anything you want to be in a contract, you must have it in that contract, spelled out in black and white, signed, by the parties involved. So Viktor Gyokeres is where he is. So the talk of Manchester United being interested in Gyokeres. So can you imagine Manchester United having, Mbeumo, Cunha, in addition to Viktor Gyokeres? That would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. Because it will upset me too much. Because Manchester United missed out on Champions League. And that's the only reason I wanted Spurs to win, because I knew Spurs will always be in La La Land. No matter what happens, they could win 3 Champions Leagues and still not have any ambition, But I had the feeling that if Manchester United won and got the Champions League spots, then that meant they would have come all out to spend and would have been able to attract or lure players that I felt like were Chelsea's targets. But the reality of it, those players that I thought were Chelsea's targets actually have turned out to not to be Chelsea's targets. So you talk of Manchester United being interested in Hugo Ekitike at the minute. Talk of them being interested in Viktor Gyokeres as well. So let's see how it shakes out. But the way it seems, I don't think Chelsea would sign Gyokeres this transfer window at least. And Victor Osimhen, I don't think that's a player that will even be going for. So Nick Woltemade, I guess that's the player that they want. Now, there's one player I want to ask, right? We're going into the Club World Cup, and yet again, going into the Club World Cup with Robert Sanchez as Chelsea's number one. How does that make sense to anyone? How does that make sense? And people, Chelsea fans, I don't know if other club sides you have fans like this that just choose to believe everything they are told, despite the fact that sometimes those things contradict themselves. You know, we had the talk of, oh, just interested in Mike Mignon, and then withdrew from that interest ended because Milan would not budge, and apparently Chelsea would not go any higher. And the excuse was Chelsea didn't want to play Club World Cup tax, and then we'll go on to show faith in the four goalkeepers that they had. So Petrovic, Mike Penders, Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen. So these four players, these four goalkeepers. So, but right after it ended, right after the interest with McMinion ended, Petrovic was dropped off the Club World Cup squad. So we're going into the Club World Cup with Robert Sanchez as number one because they'll say he has the most experience of all the other goalkeepers. So he's going in there to be the number one. Then you have maybe Philip Jorgensen as number two, experience again. And number three, probably be Mike Penders. And then you have Gaga Slonina, Gabriel Slonina, as the fourth choice goalkeeper. Now they've come up with another sort of briefing or narrative again that Petrovic was the one that, and his representatives were the ones that asked, to be left out of the Club World Cup squad. Now, I don't really believe that for a second. Now, if Cole Palmer says, I don't want to play in the Club World Cup, would he be dropped? I don't think so. The player is under contract. The player does not get to decide the competitions they play in. That's for one. And then secondly, Petrovic has always said he wants to go back to Chelsea and be the number one. He wants to go back to Chelsea and compete. Now, people are believing all sorts of rubbish, even very big accounts, that Petrovic wants to come and see himself as a guaranteed starter, as a guaranteed number one. That is silly. But sometimes you come in and you have the feeling that probably you're not going to be given an opportunity to start. You're not going to be given the opportunity to start. So Petrovic is out of the picture. So I keep asking myself, and then the final sort of briefing was that, Chelsea, that Robert Sanchez, saved Chelsea 9 points last season. 9 points, that is, let's just say 3 wins. And then, they seem to have left out all the errors that he's committed that led to goals, all the haulers he's had, and his overall incompetence in goal. And even when it comes to playing out from the back, he's not been spectacular. Because I think that was one of the reasons sort of Enzo Maresca had in his brain, when he came into the Chelsea job. Petrovic can play out from the back, Robert Sanchez can play out from the back, so he's the number one. So even playing out from the back, Petrovic has really, really improved, whilst Robert Sanchez hasn't been spectacular. He's always been shaky all through this season, playing out from the back. So my question is, how does Robert Sanchez do this? How does he always end up being Chelsea number one, even when he hasn't been great? You never see a push for him to be replaced. Let me give you a bit of context. Peter Cech, arguably one of Chelsea's greatest goalkeepers. Not arguably, one of Chelsea's greatest goalkeepers ever. Now, you can say arguably Chelsea's greatest goalkeeper. Gave Chelsea a lot of trophies. Champions League title, trophy, Premier League titles, FA Cups, Carabao Cup. But when it came to the point where he wasn't really the Peter Cech we used to know, he was still very good. Mind you, the Peter Cech that was coming towards the end of his career at Chelsea was still way better than Sanchez is today. But even at that point, he was replaced. I.e. Thibaut Courtois came in and took his spot. So ask yourself, how has Robert Sanchez still remained Chelsea's number one? You've had the likes of Nkunku dumped out. You've had the likes of Sterling, you're not performing, off you go. And I agree with that. If you're not performing, out you go. But how has Robert Sanchez continually remained Chelsea's number one? And you don't see this real desire to go out there and make sure you get a better replacement. Now, for me, I have this theory. You may call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't think I am. So I'll share this with you. And let's go. Now, for me, I feel this guy is the reason. I feel this guy is the reason. So, yeah, share this. I feel this guy is the reason. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I feel this is the reason. Now, you've got Ben Roberts, that's the current Chelsea goalkeeping coach. You know, he used to be at Middlesbrough, Yeovil, and then he became Brighton's first team goalkeeping coach and came along, you know, to Chelsea with Graham Potter. And after Graham Potter left, he remained at Chelsea. Now, for me, I think this is the reason. This is the reason he hasn't, you know, Robert Sanchez hasn't been dropped yet. Because if you have someone in your corner that believes so much in a goalkeeper, believes so much in a player, then that person would always be in his corner. So I asked myself, because when Enzo Maresca came to Chelsea, I'm sure there would have been people who would have spoken to the goalkeeping coach. Of all these goalkeepers, who do you think, you know, is the better option, is the best choice, you know, going forward for us that can help us, you know, win? And who would have given those reports? Who would have been the goalkeeping coach? So I think at this point, goalkeeping coach and Robert Sanchez should be gone. Both of them. Because first off, if you're the goalkeeping coach, you're meant to coach the goalkeeper, you're meant to train the goalkeeper, you're meant to make the goalkeeper better. Now, if Robert Sanchez, who is the goalkeeper, is not getting any better, that means you're failing at your job as the goalkeeping coach. So that means you're not good enough. That means you're not meant to be there. Then, if you're now standing in the way of better goalkeepers coming in the building, then you're more trouble than you're worth, and you should be off. And from a Rob Sanchez perspective, if you're not doing your job well as a goalkeeper, costing Chelsea points, then you should be gone as well. You know, because in life, like in football, you have someone you're close to, you know, you like this person, maybe you know the person as a person, you know their family, you know their children, you know their wives, and all that. So it's you have this filial connection, this friendly, charming connection to them, and you always want to back them. So sometimes they may not be doing their job very well, but you just feel, you know, they can give them one more chance, give them some time, they can become good. And I feel this is what is happening with the Chelsea coach and, you know, the Robert Sanchez. Because let's look at this. Petrovic came in, Robert Sanchez was the number one. Petrovic came in and actually was better than Robert Sanchez and benched Robert Sanchez. Then you had Enzo Maresca come in, and then all of a sudden he now preferred the goalkeeper that was benched with no relationship, with no connection to him. So who fed him the data? Who gave him the information that Robert Sanchez was a better goalkeeper? The goalkeeping coach. And then don't forget, Paul Winstanley, where did he come from? Brighton as well. So I'm sure this goalkeeping coach has a direct line to one of the sporting directors. So when it comes to negotiating for a goalkeeper, he's always, remember Sanchez is good. We shouldn't push too hard for another goalkeeper. Because make this make sense. Mike Mignon, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, you had a chance, you know, to get him for 25 million euros. And you said that was too much. And you came up with the weirdest take I've ever heard, which is you want to pay Club World Cup tax. When has that become a thing? You just invented something out of thin air. And Robert Sanchez has been costing Chelsea. And believe you me, If Chelsea goes into this season with Robert Sanchez as the goalkeeper, Chelsea cannot win the league title. Period. Top four isn't wouldn't you I can't even guarantee top four with Robert Sanchez as the goalkeeper. I can't guarantee that is not even guaranteed. That is not even guaranteed with Robert Sanchez as the goalkeeper. So for me, the way I look at it right now, Robert Sanchez and the goalkeeper should be and the goalkeeping coach should be gone. It should be gone because now I wanted Mike Mignon, we're not getting him. Then I wanted Petrovic to be the guy. Obviously, the way it seems right now, the best we will get is he'll be loaned out. Maybe he can come back later on, or he would even be sold. So the next thing I can fall on or try to rely on right now is hopefully Mike Penders, is given an opportunity. That's the only thing I can hope for right now, that Mike Penders is given an opportunity, to show what he can do. Because Robert Sanchez, I'm tired of I'm tired of him. 100% I'm tired of him. So if you just joined the stream, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also I would like to know your thoughts and opinions on Alexander-Arnold joining up with Real Madrid as the new player. What do you think of his presentation? And what do you make of the fact that he actually spoke in fluent Spanish, during that introduction and presentation? And also, what do you think about Chelsea's link to German striker, a giant of a striker, literally, Woltemade, Stuttgart striker? And what do you think? What are your thoughts and opinions about that? Is it the kind of person, kind of striker you want at Chelsea? Let me know your thoughts and opinions about that. And then as well, talking about Viktor Gyokeres, apparently not really linked to Chelsea, but the sort of standoff he has with Sporting Lisbon at this moment. So what are your thoughts and opinions about that? First of Chelsea fans, what you want? Arsenal fans, Manchester United fans, is the player that you want for your club, and what do you make of that standoff? So me, I'm of the opinion that there's nothing called gentleman's agreement. There's nothing called a gentleman's agreement in my own opinion. Like if uh, um, if a club really wants a clause inserted, then it should be added in the contract. So I'll just drop off for a couple of minutes and I'll be back really, really quickly. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Yeah, so we are welcome back. So let's go straight to what we're talking about. So first off, Alexander Arnold joins Real Madrid. What are your thoughts about that? Liverpool fans, are you still upset with him, especially with him speaking Spanish? That means he has been preparing for years, for at least a year, not just the last couple of weeks, because you don't speak that fluently in Spanish just over 2 days or a couple of days. So what are your thoughts about that? And then also talk about Viktor Gyokeres. What are your thoughts about him as well? You have the standoff between him and Scott in Lisbon. He's posted on the IG story that he will speak when the time is right. That all a lot of talk that have been, sort of hard, are mainly false. So what I want to say to football players, two pieces of advice for football players. One, if you want to leave a club, don't renew your contract. Secondly, if you want a particular clause inserted in the contract, whether it's your buyout clause, your release clause, whatever, have it in the contract. Do not accept or fall for anything called gentleman's agreement. That just means you want to say something to appease your spirit, to make you feel good about yourself, to make you think we really like you, and then when it comes to it, we will do whatever we choose to do. Viktor Gyokeres, I don't know why Chelsea are not even interested in him, are not even really showing interest in getting the deal done. But if Manchester United, a club linked to him with no Champions League, are able to get Viktor Gyokeres in addition to Mourinho, Buemo, and Acuna, that would be a serious, serious threat. And then we've gone on to talk about Nick Woltemade that Chelsea have been linked with. For me, I don't think he's the kind of striker that Chelsea needs right now. He's definitely not the profile of striker that Chelsea needs at this minute. I don't think he really comes in and makes the squad immediately better. Now, he's someone that can come in, have potential, score a couple of goals, but he's not someone that comes in and makes the team instantly better. Now, I know some people will say 23-year-old, 22-year-old, they can push each other. No. For me, if you're getting a Liam Delap, he should be your number two, and you're getting an actual top class striker to be the number one striker. So right now, we're having Liam Delap and Nicholas Jackson. It's a bit And then speaking about Nicholas Jackson, we've had this talk about from supposedly a Turkish journalist saying that if Chelsea get Victor Osimhen, that Galatasaray will immediately move for Nicholas Jackson. I'm sure lots of Chelsea fans would want to take that deal, will snatch your hand off for that deal. Victor Osimhen for Nicholas Jackson, I'm sure they will want to take snatch your hands up. And I know that a few would say, "Oh no, leave Nicholas Jackson alone, Victor Osimhen." So for me, the thing is, that's another surprising thing that the club haven't gone in for Victor Osimhen. And this is one thing I want to let people know. There's a lot of PR that clubs put out in moments to suit what they want. The moment the interest about Chelsea interest about Victor Osimhen came about, I'm sure the club didn't think they were even going to sign him. So we got the PR of 100 million pounds or 100 million euros release clause. It's a crazy amount. It's too high. It's too high. This clause is too high. It's ridiculous. The salary demand is too high. Now you've come to a point where that buyout clause, that release clause, or whatever I want to call it, have been drastically reduced. And still, you're having issues with it. Still, you're dragging your feet. But you're still willing to offer even more than that, for a Bino Gittins. Even more than that, you're willing to offer more than that to get, a Hugo Ketike. Speaking of Hugo Ketike, Chelsea are not the only sort of interested party anymore. They talk of Liverpool, they talk of Manchester United. So this is it in football, like in life. You have to look at your competition. What are they doing? This is not the Chelsea Premier League. This is the English Premier League. 20 clubs, or at least there are other 19 clubs in the Premier League that are fighting, that theoretically should be fighting for the Premier League title. And out of that 19, out of that 19 other clubs, you have 5 other clubs that have that intent of winning that Premier League title. You have a Liverpool that have won the Premier League title but have gone again to invest in their team. You have a Man City that finished third but are not happy that they finished third, as they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be happy that they finished third. They've gone again, they've reinvested in their squad, forgetting what they did in January. Mamouche came in January, Viktor came in January, Kushunov came in January as well, and now they've gone again, ignoring Ryan Cherky. So they have beefed up their squad again with quality. So these are the clubs that you're competing not only for the title for, but you're also competing for top 4. So if you're not doing the business you need to do, how do you compete? And what's what with Chelsea is this: there are 2 key areas that you should take care of. The first one, and they've kind of taken care of it a bit because they've got Liam Delap. Okay, the right profile, but not the right pedigree. If you get what I mean. Right profile, aggressive, tall, I think decent in the air, can run in behind, can put defenders under pressure. But when it comes to pedigree, title winning pedigree, not so much. Goal scoring pedigree at the high level in terms of hitting those high numbers of 20 goals a season. No, he hasn't hit that. But profile wise, kind of suits. The goalkeeping situation is just crazy. Robert Sanchez is still there. How is he still there? We haven't dealt with it either. So going into the season, what are we going to do? Now, a lot of people will be of the mindset that, this is just barely a couple of days into this transfer window, and it isn't even, the official transfer window. This is just, some makeshift window that FIFA had allowed to be introduced because of the Club World Cup. And then even in addition to that, you have a window that will be reopened. The window will be reopened on the 16th of June when you get to the knockout phases or something like that. So with all these excuses, but for me, I'm not even saying get the players in the door immediately right now to go to the Club World Cup. You can announce you can have a Victor Osimhen, have a here we go with Fabrizio Romano, Victor Osimhen 5-year deal with Chelsea. Here we go, and then it can be officially confirmed when the transfer window is officially open. You can have a Mike Mignon, a Donnarumma come in. Here we go. When the window is officially open, he's announced as officially a Chelsea player. But we're not seeing those sort of moves. Rather, we're still seeing those mid to sideways moves. Nick Woltemade, good talent, but really ready right now to come in and help Chelsea win? I don't think so. The left wing has not been taken care of, except maybe you have Nicholas Jackson play left wing, because I think he can play there. But for him to even effectively play there, you need to be sure that your striker you've got in the building is that guy. Now, for me, like I said, Liam Delap has my support 100% because I may not rate a player, but I always want a Chelsea player to succeed. I always want the player at Chelsea to succeed. I'm not here saying, oh, I'm going to be anti-Liam Delap. No, Chelsea should lose their games in Club World Cup. I've seen some, accounts say that. Oh, want Chelsea to lose all the group game Club World Cup. No, I don't want that. Go on and win the games if you can win the games. But one thing is true and one thing is certain. If you don't have the right quality, you're going to struggle. If you don't have the right quality in your team, right quality of players, you will struggle. That's why Madrid are always at the top, because they always plug the gaps when they need to. They always get in top players into the club when they need to. They don't wait for things to be broken. They don't wait to finish third. They don't wait to finish fourth, before they get working on things, before they start, changing up players in the squad. They don't even allow players to have two bad seasons. You have two bad seasons at Real Madrid, you're gone. Now, a lot of people will come in to say, Real Madrid is such a high standard, you can't be comparing yourself to Real Madrid. Fine. But at least they are the gold standard, and you should try. You may not get to the level, but you should try. You can't keep yourself at the level of a Brighton and level of a Nottingham Forest. You should get the best players you can possibly get in the building. In the building. So for me, this transfer window hasn't really been impressive for me at all. Esugo has come in fine. I hope he comes in and gives Caicedo rest and comes in as well and be that guy that can happily pair with Caicedo, and then with Lavia being injured a lot of the time, that would help Caicedo. But one fear I have about Esugo coming in is this: he could come in, and that could then mean that Caicedo plays right back a lot more often than he should, because we've seen Enzo Maresca play him out there. So I'll be back in a few seconds. Just be patient with me. I'll be back in a few. Yeah, so thanks for waiting, thanks for watching, thanks for being on the show. So let's run through all we've talked and all we've discussed so far on the video. So first off, Trent Alexander-Arnold off Real Madrid. Happy days for him. What are your thoughts about it? Liverpool fans, are you happy with it? What are your thoughts about him speaking Spanish fluently, I might add, you know, in his first day presentation at Real Madrid? Thoughts about that. And then as well, Chelsea fans, what do you make of the link to this German striker, Nick Woltemade? If I'm completely honest, he's not a player I've been following, not been on my radar at all. But in the last couple of days when I heard Chelsea been linked to him one way or the other. So decent goal scoring record, not super amazing, not something that is earth shattering where he scored like maybe 30 goals in, you know, in 25 games or 25 goals in like 30 games, not something like that. But decent, you can see some positives about him. But for me, overall, he's not a player that I'm particularly crazy about in terms of one, he doesn't have the pedigree yet. He could come good. It's one of those strikers where you sign him and then, wow, surprising, shocking, whoa, he's good. But that is not what Chelsea should be doing. Definitely not in the sixth window under this clearly capital ownership. And especially when you've got a Liam Delap in, who is a young striker as well, that will need time to grow, need time to develop, need time, to be able to, come good and shine and really get to the top of his potential. You have a Nicholas Jackson that has struggled in the past seasons as well. So what? So signing another youngish striker with not very low, but low pedigree as well, and this low championship pedigree, how does that really help move the needle? It doesn't. And people might say resale value, resale value. For me, as Chelsea, you shouldn't be looking for resale value. What you should be looking for is a player that can come in right now and help you win. And then if that player comes in, be a 28-year-old, a 27-year-old, helps you win right now, if he's so good, Real Madrid, other clubs from Europe will come in and say, okay, we're willing to offer the big bucks for you. Because Real Madrid and Bayern are always looking for guys that can come into their club and help them win now. So you can even make them, if it's money you want to make, you can make it in 4 times over. But Chelsea should be looking for, players that can come in now and help them win. Look at Man City. Man City, that is the way you sign youth. Man City, they've got an Ignori, takes care of the left back issue. So Gavadio can actually play in central defense. And then you've got Ryan Cherky, comes in, brings that creativity in midfield. Because it seems at this minute, Jack Grealish has fallen out with Pep Guardiola. No matter what Guardiola says, probably Jack Grealish doesn't get to play a game anymore, for Man City. So he comes in right now, ready to go. And then there's this kid that they just signed in Norwegian, a Norwegian youngster. But he's coming as 18-year-old. He's not the main guy that they've bought. They've got other people in place that they've signed, in addition to the top quality they have in the squad already. Meanwhile, at Chelsea, what are we doing? We're trying to sort of become Man City's Academy 2.0. And you have some fans actually applauding this, actually saying, woo, good, yeah, Man City Academy. You've got Romeo Lavia, decent player, is injured a lot, but quality-wise, when it's available, he's good. You have him there. You have Cole Palmer, quality of course, but Man City Academy, people that say, oh, that's good. You have Liam Delap, Man City Academy. There's a point in time Chelsea will link to Nico Riley from Man City Academy. A lot of fans were championing the guy. Oh, bring him in, bring him in. And now there's talk of Morgan Rogers, and you have people saying, oh, bring him in, bring him in. So we need to get players to help the club win right now. And Nico Woltemade isn't the guy for me. Now, I also talked about, the sort of link-ish. I won't call it a link because it wasn't like Chelsea have made an offer for Viktor Osimhen. No, it's been more of a journalist in Turkey saying if Chelsea go for Viktor Osimhen, that Galatasaray would go for Nicholas Jackson. And for me, if it comes to it, that's the deal I'm willing to take. I think they can both coexist. So you could have a Nicholas Jackson, Victor Osimhen, Liam Delap. That could work very well. But if you tell me I can get Victor Osimhen and what I have to lose is Nicholas Jackson, then that's no worries for me. That's no issues for me whatsoever. That's something I can absolutely, live with. And then, but one thing I don't think I can actually live with at Chelsea is Robert Sanchez. I don't know what it does about Robert Sanchez. For me, it's just crazy that he's still Chelsea's number one goalkeeper. It's absolute madness to me right now that we're going into this Premier edition of the Club World Cup, and the number one goalkeeper is Robert Sanchez. And for me, for those who joined earlier in the stream, earlier in the video, I've given my opinion on this. I said the reason, I think one of the reasons is you have, the same goalkeeping coach that used to coach Robert Sanchez at Brighton. He's still the goalkeeping coach here. And I don't think he's completely detached himself from Robert Sanchez. I think they still have that close affinity. And he's doing all in his power to ensure Rob Sanchez remains here. In addition to the fact that, of course, you have that connection with Paul Winstanley, one of the sporting directors, and this goalkeeping coach. Because I can't think of any other logical reason that you've watched Robert Sanchez for 2 seasons and you say, oh, wow, he's performed so well. He deserves to be Chelsea's number one going into next season. Let's go. I don't see what people see. I don't see what you can objectively say Robert Sanchez has done that has made him deserve to be Chelsea's number one goalkeeper going into next season. I can't see it. Who may come up with different excuses, different reasons and stuff. For me, no, it just isn't. There's no real reason for him to still be Chelsea number one. Oh, he saved Chelsea's 9 points last season. What? He saved Chelsea 9 points, and that's why he should be Chelsea number one. He is not good enough. Even the main reason he was picked ahead of Petrovic, which is passing out from the back and all that stuff, he isn't even great at it. That's even it. He's not even great at it. Philip Jorgensen is a poor shot stopper, or at least this past season, he showed himself that he's a poor shot stopper. But even him, Philip Jorgensen is light years ahead of Robert Sanchez when it comes to playing out from the back. Light years ahead of him. We talk about being comfortable on the ball, being able to pass the ball around with composure, with variation of passes, different pass selections. Philip Jorgensen is way better than Robert Sanchez. So when you look at that, you ask yourself, what is the reason? Why is he still Chelsea's number one? I'm only hoping that somehow, somewhere, because this is what we've fallen into. One battle, we had the high of Mike Minion, that's fallen off. Then we held on to, Petrovic is the guy. Let's look at Petrovic. That's fallen off. I'm just hoping going into the Club World Cup that at least Mike Penders is given an opportunity to show if he can be that guy. Because Rob Sanchez, we've seen it one time too many. One time too many. We've seen the first season, it wasn't impressive. Storyline was poor. We saw the second season, storyline was poor acting. Now we're going into the third season. We can't afford to watch that same series. I don't know. If you had a series, first season, so bad, acting poor, storyline poor, and it's okay, maybe in second season it comes good. You go in again, second season, absolutely garbage. Would you want to watch the third season? Because that's what Chelsea seems to be doing with Robert Sanchez. First season, woeful. Then you're going into another season and expecting that he'll be somehow good. First season, woeful. Second season, even poorer. And then you're going to the third season expecting that somehow Robert Sanchez will be good. I don't see why. And what is upsetting for me is there are two key positions that Chelsea should have taken care of this season. And for whatever reason, we just haven't. We just haven't. It's almost like these sporting directors are scared, they're scared of getting players in the building that can help the team win. Or I don't know if there's anything that's like, okay, if this team finishes second or wins the league, they're going to lose their jobs. I don't quite understand. Because it always seems, no matter how easy a deal feels like or seems, they're never able to lock it down. Victor Osimhen, lay up. No other club, in the way. Look, Napoli wanted Lukaku. Chelsea had Victor Osimhen, a straight swap, salary swap, deal would have been done. But even that, they bottled it. Coming to this season, there's Mike Mignon, layup. No other club interested. 25 million euros, which I felt was a fairly decent fee for a top class goalkeeper. And then you didn't even bid anything close to the 25 million euros. And then you missed out on that goalkeeper, missed out on a layup as well. So, what is going on with these owners? And then as well, we talked about Viktor Gyokeres thing, a player that obviously will be coming to Chelsea, but maybe he goes to Arsenal or he goes to United. Can you imagine Viktor Gyokeres ending up at Manchester United with no Champions League? So what? So we've just been lied to. Chelsea fans have been lied to, have been deceived, into thinking the Champions League, once we get the Champions League, then we'll show you ambition. No ambition, still. No ambition, zero ambition going into that. And then I want to ask you this question. I've made my choice, but for the Club World Cup, who do you want to be Chelsea's number one goalkeeper? At least for the first game. The first game Chelsea plays in the Club World Cup, who do you want to be that number one goalkeeper? For me, I've said Mike Penders should be given that chance because Jorgensen has been given a chance. He's shown that he can't really push Sanchez. Sanchez has been the number one goalkeeper. He has shown that he's not good enough. And Gabriel Slonina, I don't rate him as much as I rate my Penders in terms of young goalkeepers. So that's my reasoning behind giving Mike Penders the starting berth, at least for the first 3 games in the group stage. So what do you think about that? And then what do you think about the left wing situation? For me, like I said, that's not a priority area, but when you're not able to get a striker in the building, you're not able to get a goalkeeper in the building, at least you've got a Liam Delap. You know what I mean when I say striker, a super experienced striker in the building, then you look at the left wing. So Bruno Gittins is like probably not going to get him. So who would you want as the other option, as a guy to be given that position there? For me, I would rather give Tyreek George that chance and say, okay, you and Madueke or you and Pedro Neto, you fight it out for that left wing. Madueke, or you could say Madueke is the number one, Tyreek George, you're the number 2 in that wing, in that left wing. And then focus your attention on getting the experienced striker with pedigree. But I don't think that's going to happen. I want to know as well, what do you feel about Nick Woltemade as a striking option? 6'6", he scored 15 goals or so. In the German league, German Bundesliga, scored 5 goals in the DFL Pokal Cup. So, do you rate him? Is it someone that you think should come in to be signed to the club? And also, would you be happy if you heard tomorrow that Victor Osimhen was signed to Chelsea and Galatasaray have put in an offer for Nicholas Jackson? What would your thoughts and opinions be about that? I want to know. And the Trent Alexander-Arnold going to Real Madrid, Liverpool fans, what are your thoughts and opinions about that bid? For me, happy he's gone. One less player to worry about in the Premier League. But speaking about that, I don't think he was a player that I was really, really worried about. In fact, I saw him as a weakness. While Alexander-Arnold is a player that is very good on the ball, good vision, good passing range. When it comes to 1v1 defending, I've never looked at him and said, wow, this guy is great. And that's one of the reasons I rate Rich James way ahead of him, because Rich James can go forward. Although we haven't seen that, we didn't see that this past season because of how Enzo Maresca chose to play the fullbacks, But if he's given that license to overlap, he's going to do it very well. And then 1v1 defending, he's very accomplished. So for me, Anthony Arnold, I don't really rate him so highly as a right back because of that defensive deficiency. But going forward, we know what he can do. We know what threat he has. So he's gone off to Real Madrid. And then, so I think that's all we have to discuss today on the stream. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for those who subscribe to the channel. And definitely, I will see you on yet another video on this channel. So do have a splendid rest of your day, and I'll see you